The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Today on Aging Horizons, we'll be speaking with Kimmy Everman. She's a program specialist at the Aging Services Bureau. We'll be checking in about Medicare. We're almost halfway through the year, and there are things that you should be thinking about as we prepare for open enrollment this fall. Are there ways that we could be saving you money with helping programs? Make sure that you get all that information today on Aging Horizons. You're not going to want to miss it.
Summer in Montana is a great time to visit your local farmer's market. Enjoy the social atmosphere while shopping for a wide variety of fresh, locally grown produce. Together with both WIC and Senior Farmers Market nutrition programs, you help feed your family 5 or more daily servings of fruits and vegetables for better health. You also help local ag producers and enhance the state's economy. So, for summer fun that's nutritious and helps Montana's economy, shop at your local farmer's market.
45 years, 2 packs a day. That's like $80,000. I thought I was just hurting myself until I fell asleep in a chair with a cigarette. The whole house went up. I lost it all. I knew smoking was expensive, but I never thought it would cost me everything.
The human heart. Even at its strongest, it's a fragile muscle. Chest and arm pain, shortness of breath, are signs of a heart under attack. But 3 numbers can save a life. Dial 911 at the first sign of a heart attack. Quick response from medical experts can save your life.
I was 45 and it happened to me, a heart attack.
Dialing 911 saved Ryan's life. Now he's here and he's healthy.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Katie Lovell, and today we're speaking with Kimmy Everman, who's a program specialist at the Aging Services Bureau. Kimmy, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
So we are about halfway through the year,
right,
and it's about time to start thinking about your Medicare plan. So what should people start thinking about now that we're halfway through the year?
Well, I think the first thing is just, make a note on your calendar, because one of the grand things about annual enrollment is that it's the same time every year. Yeah. October 15th to December 7th. You can put that on your calendar so you know when your work time is. So put that on your calendar and then start to pull together just a bit of information about the plans that you have been using up till then. Now, you might have just a Part D plan or a Medicare RX plan, or you might have a Medicare Advantage plan.
Sure.
And either one of those, you should be thinking about just a survey about it in your head and in your pocketbook every year to make sure the plans are going to be good for you in the following year. Maybe let's just start with your Part D plan.
Okay.
If you have just your Part D plan, one of the things you're going to look at is how good did the customer service treat you?
Sure.
Did you have any reason over the year to need help from the company? And if so, how did it go? Were they good to you? Were there glitches? Those sorts of things.
So important. So important.
Yes, absolutely. Another is financially. We know that all of our plans, they come in all shapes and sizes. Some have deductibles, some don't. Some have monthly premiums, some have very low monthly premiums. They're just all very different. And so when you look at the financial part of your plan for the months up till this time, do you feel like you got your money's worth, or was
Sure.
it were there unexpected expenses that you didn't realize you would have.
And what about new drugs? Is that something that we need to start thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely, because even though every single drug plan covers 212 at least drug classes,
Sure.
so they basically cover everything, even though you might have gotten a new drug up till that time, and maybe another plan next year will cover it in a way that is more financially acceptable to you.
Sure.
And it all depends on what the med is, but a lot of times if it's a new med, like a med that's brand new to the community, or a very expensive med for a high level kind of an illness, that's very expensive out of pocket.
Sure, absolutely.
So you want to keep your eyes on those things and make sure that you know what you're spending, so that we can compare for next year, because you're going to get a SHIP counselor involved.
Absolutely. And those SHIP counselors, tell me every day what they do.
Yeah, they are so great. They know everything there is to know about Medicare, and if they don't know, they know how to find out.
Sure.
And they're not going to give you an answer, but they're going to help guide you to the information you need to make the answer, to get the answer. We want everybody to be well informed and making their own decisions about their own health care in this country.
Absolutely. So important. And when you have that resource in the community, take advantage of it.
Right.
Because they can really
I think
help
we'll
you.
just have the number on the screen.
Great.
You just call the 800 number, you say, I want to talk to a SHIP counselor, and they will hook you up with somebody that could possibly change your life, an advocate that could change your life.
So important. And when you're thinking about those Advantage plans, you might need to have seen a new doctor, someone like that. Those networks might have changed, correct?
Exactly. Very good point, Katie. The networks are something you should always be looking at.
Sure.
Does it bother you to not have a physician you choose, or is there someone specifically you want to see? What are the prices? What about the benefits? We know that Medicare Advantage plans come with some extra benefits sometimes. Are the benefits that you like that are extra now still going to be in the package in 2020? Those are things you have to look at. Start doing, Google your company. Your company will send you information. Talk to a SHIP counselor. There's so many ways to get that information ahead of time so you can make a really good consumer choice.
And it's so important to start now when you have a little bit of time to do this research, because it can take a while to get that stuff back from the companies, maybe even to get in to see the SHIP counselor. So
right.
So
and also just for your state of mind and your anxiety level, get it done early, and then it's done, and all you have to do is, maybe this is the first year you'll even be able to do it yourself online.
Yeah.
You get a little guidance along the way, and maybe you'll be doing it yourself just because you started early.
And those SHIP counselors, they're in your community, so you can talk to someone local, right?
Absolutely. And again, I can't say enough about them. They're so knowledgeable on Medicare, but they're also knowledgeable on so many other things.
So important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
So there are ways that you can also look at the cost of your plan. There are helping programs that exist out there, and we're going to talk about those a little bit more later, but that's one of the things that you should think about as you're making this change.
Because when you're looking at those financials for the 6 months or so, are you thinking, boy, I hardly made it that month.
Sure.
And maybe there's some plan that can help me or benefit. Reach out to that SHIP counselor. They can help you with that.
Absolutely. So the first one we're going to talk about when we get back are those Medicare Savings Advantage plans. And then at our last time together, we're going to talk about those low-income subsidies, correct? And those are your prescription D plans.
Right.
Great. So there's lots and lots of help out there. Lots of help.
A lot. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So when we come back, you'll want to stay tuned because we're going to talk about those Medicare Advantage plans, or the Medicare Savings Programs, and that's going to help you with those Part B costs. And then we're going to talk about the low-income subsidies, which are going to help you with that Part D, your prescription drug costs. So you're not going to want to mix that, so make sure you stay tuned.
Every generation produces heroes, men and women who step forward to defend our country in time of need, no matter the personal cost to themselves. And though we can never fully repay them, we can make sure they have access to low-cost, long-term care when they need it. That's what Montana's Veterans Homes are all about. If you've got a hero in need in your family, call us. We can help.
In Montana, we know all about responsibility and personal accountability. Don't pay another medical bill that you don't understand. Take charge. Review your medical bills and call your provider right away if you have questions. If your bills are too confusing, call Montana SMP, the Senior Medicare Patrol. Call 800-551-3191 and get connected directly to a local office. Call Montana SMP today.
This is Sergeant Jones. Please respond. I was separated from my squad. Requesting backup. Anyone, please respond. I'm all alone here.
Gentlemen, this is a secure federal facility. Do you have your Montana Real IDs?
ID? I am Captain Lewis, and this is Captain Clark.
I'm sorry, I can't let you in.
Can't go into a federal facility, can't fly. Let's go back to the river.
Yes, we'll float home. Let me check the Google. What's a dam?
Discover more at mtrealid.gov.
Montana Real ID. It's the real me.
Welcome back to Aging Horizons. Today we're talking with Kimmy Everman, who's a program specialist for the Aging Services Bureau. Kimmy, thanks again for joining us.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about Part B. I think that's a term that you and I use and maybe doesn't really mean the same thing to the people watching us today.
Exactly. Okay, so in terms of Medicare, Part B is the coverage piece that is for your outpatient coverage, where when you're going to the doctor and you have lab tests done and that kind of care, outpatient care, is usually covered by Part B. And while Part B is a wonderful value, it truly is, not everybody has enough financially every month to be able to use that value without a little bit of assistance.
Sure.
So Medicare Savings Program is what assists folks in getting that Part B, that great value, that great coverage for their health by paying premiums, by paying deductibles. In some parts of the program, it might pay copays or out-of-pocket expenses. So there's a plan available, or not a plan, a benefit available for people who, if you're struggling with your costs every month, let's take a look and see if you might be eligible. That puts another $100 and at least $60 in your bank account every
That's a huge
month.
difference.
Absolutely. Every month you're going to get that back. And I'm sorry, I'm guessing, I don't know off the top of my head, I should, what the Medicare Part B premium per month is right now. However, it's in that realm, and think about that.
Sure, absolutely.
And also, there's no deductible, so you're not paying that a surprise. I just went to the doctor, I didn't expect, and now I have to pay my deductible to start getting
Absolutely.
any kind of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these great reasons to take advantage of the Medicare Savings Program.
Absolutely, so important. And do most people who qualify that program, do most people take advantage of it?
It's a really underused program nationally, and it's one of the reasons that I feel so strongly about people knowing of its existence, because it is just, for me, it would make someone's life so much easier.
Absolutely.
Just with that few $100s extra every month, I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
And it's easy to check into whether you are eligible. Call up that SHIP counselor again. Remember that the SHIP counselor knows all there is to know about Medicare.
Sure.
And so it only makes sense that they are going to work with that special program, the Medicare Savings Program. And what they'll do is help you fill out an application and get it to the right place, or talk you through it if you're doing it yourself, that kind of thing. And as I was saying off camera, Katie, I really encourage people, never think, oh, I saw a chart with a number on it and I know I'm not eligible.
Sure, yeah, it's not as easy as that, is it?
It isn't as easy as that. Now, and I never tell a person they are or aren't, I say, just apply. Because there are people with a lot of knowledge and a lot of capability who are making the decision down the line from us. Whether you are or aren't eligible, try.
Absolutely.
And as you said, there are the little things about eligibility that could be something that you're not taking into account that might make you eligible.
That might really work in your favor. And, you know, I think we can all relate to needing that little bit of extra cushion.
Absolutely.
At the end of the month. That $160 could be used to pay for all sorts of things, car insurance, car payments, groceries. You know, it's so important to be able to utilize everything that's available out there to our folks here in Montana, because we want to make sure that people are living paycheck to paycheck, not just surviving.
Exactly, and you know, I think it's become a really trendy term, but it's a beautiful one. Live your best day. Live the best you can, because you don't get a do-over. You know, my mom used to always say it isn't a dress rehearsal, and I never really understood that until pretty recently.
Sure.
And you need to live your best day, and making sure that medication and financial issues and stress are kept at a minimum.
Sure.
Is how you live your best life.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks can do that application themselves with assistance from SHIP counselors, or they can have SHIP counselors help them complete it.
Sure, absolutely. And you know, if all they want to do is have a point person called the SHIP counselor, and they can, you know, they can put you into whatever direction you need to go. And then, as I said, let the professional folks down the line decide on eligibility. Don't take into account anything. Just let it be.
Absolutely. And that's the Part B. So that's like your general doctor visits, your lab visits, all of those things that we think of that like traditional health insurance might cover.
Where you're not inpatient anywhere.
Sure. Okay. All right. So that's super important. We want to make sure that people are getting those services.
Right.
And if there's help out there to take advantage of that, we want to get them there.
And with, you know, another thing with the Medicare Savings Program is that there are co-pay limits at the different levels of assistance. And so you're not being you're not being sort of hit in the face with a big copay every time you go to the doctor. And let's face it, none of us expect to go to the doctor usually.
Right.
We may go on a regular basis for something or the other, but when we get sick, we're not expected to go, and that's usually the time we feel the poorest.
Right. And we absolutely don't want people to have to choose.
Right.
Do I get to go to the doctor?
Exactly.
Or do I get to buy food this month? So those savings programs can be a lifesaver for people.
Right.
And there are levels there. It's not just one program. It's not a one size fits all.
And folks may have heard it referred to as Quimby, Slimby, or QMB.
Okay.
And you know, again, I don't like to put numbers to any of the levels. I say just apply.
Absolutely.
Apply.
So important. So that takes care of the Part B. And there are also helping programs that help with that Part D, right?
Right, exactly.
And those are the low income subsidies for the Part D.
Right.
And Part D is the prescription drug coverage,
that's
correct?
Right. Yeah,
okay,
that's
I'm getting it. I'm learning something, and hopefully you are too. So make sure that you stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to cover those low-income subsidies for those Part D prescription drug plans, which are so important, because that's where you can really see some huge cost savings. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll be back with Kimmy Everman in a minute.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Questions about Medicare and other types of insurance? Contact the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office to get answers to questions like, what is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid? And how do you decide if you need Medicare supplemental insurance? This insurance counseling program is not a sales program. It is available to provide answers to your insurance questions. For more information, call the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office at 1-800-332-2272.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
I was the last guy you'd expect to get diabetes. I was a competitive runner and I always took care of myself. So when I was diagnosed, it kind of threw me. But it's really encouraging to know I'm not alone with it. There are a lot of other people going through the same things as I am. It takes some effort. You have to keep after it. Exercise, meds, and diet are the key. But there are a lot of folks who want me to succeed. Diabetes is not the end of the world. With effort and attitude, you can have a normal life.
Welcome back to Aging Horizons. Today we're speaking with Kimmy Everman, an aging specialist at the Aging Services Bureau, about all things Medicare. So we've talked about what to do about your mid-year check-in. So making sure you're looking at those coverages, your prescriptions, your doctors, all of that. And now we talked about the Medicare Savings Program. So now let's talk about Part D. Again, another term we've been using. Tell me what it means.
Well, Part D is the acronym used in Medicare world for the Medicare prescription drug coverage. It's the newest sort of big giant benefit in Medicare, and probably one of the most important since Medicare's inception, in my opinion. It's become, as you said, so high cost to treat illness with medication that we have to have a way of making sure our Medicare beneficiaries can get what they need without breaking the bank.
Absolutely.
And that, that's why we have what we call, or what's called the low income subsidy, or it's also known as LIS, so or extra help.
Okay.
So it has a number of different names, but out there in Part D world, what it does is it pays premiums for medication plans, Part D plans, up to a certain level.
Okay.
It then may cover deductibles. It may help with co-pays. It may help with medications that are harder to get on your formulary. And the formulary is that long list of medications that every company has to offer under these plans. It can be a complicated thing, and so what we really suggest is don't get overwhelmed every year going through that. Call up a SHIP counselor. They can either see you and check through it with you one-on-one, or they can give you advice how to use the Plan Finder, which is on the Medicare.gov website, or whatever else, however else you want to approach it. But the big thing is, take a look every year and then make sure that you're trying to find out, am I eligible for the low income subsidy? The drug plans are pretty great. And we have lots to choose from, but that doesn't mean they cover everything.
Absolutely. And maybe you weren't eligible last year, but it's important to check every year, right?
Exactly. It really is. And especially with the low income subsidy and also with the Medicare Savings Program, if you've had a recent change in your financial status, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, you should call up a SHIP counselor and see if you're eligible to get those programs. One great thing about those programs is that you don't have to enter on January 1st or some strict sort of time frame. When you become eligible, you can enter that program. And so, like I said, if there's been a change in the financial status in your household, you should definitely call.
So we don't have to wait till open enrollment to check those. That's wonderful.
Nope. Open enrollment is such a good time to check this stuff, just because you're already checking other things. We like to hook it up to everything that we possibly can, but we also want folks to know that if they become eligible for one of these helping programs, for instance, the low income subsidy, they become a more protected beneficiary in a lot of ways, because they have big challenges a lot of times, financial for sure. And so the plan of attack is, let's make this benefit wrap around as much as it can.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't wrap around every single thing.
Sure.
And so it's very important that we have these so that people can save the money where they can.
And those Part D subsidies, are they just an amount of money you get every month and then you can pick your plan within those, or is it a specific plan that you have to choose?
There are what we call SHIP counselors call zero premium plans.
Okay.
And the zero premium plans every year fit into the structure of the low income subsidy benefit, where they'll pay the whole thing of certain plans that have said we will be zero premium, meaning we will not ask the beneficiary for a premium if you'll allow us to serve that beneficiary in this program. So you can either have that, or if you want a program that isn't on that list, you are welcome to look at the other ones. The thing you need to remember is that you'll be paying probably some out of pocket, because the way that the low income subsidy is structured is it pays up to a benchmark every year, and then anything above that benchmark would have to be paid by the person who got it, which is completely choice. If that's what you want to do, that's totally fine too. Maybe you are on medications that a more a spendier plan is the one that covers, because we've seen that happen many times. That shouldn't preclude you from having the subsidy as well. So
any type of help a month can really be so beneficial, especially if you're on one of those plans that necessitates you paying a higher premium every month just to get some of the more expensive drugs covered. So,
and when it comes to those fixed incomes, what SHIP counselors are doing is they're looking everywhere they can to where can I save so that you have money for something else.
Sure.
And that's the name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure that our beneficiaries are getting the most out of their dollars that they can, so that we can do things like make sure your grocery bills are covered.
Exactly. And as you said early on, we never want people making the very difficult choice: do I eat? Do I heat my home? Do I take my medicine?
Absolutely.
That just shouldn't be ever a thing they have to choose. That's why we just really encourage you to call that SHIP counselor.
Absolutely. So just as a recap, what we're going to do when we get done watching Aging Horizons today is we're going to start looking at our current plan. We're going to check our doctor network. We're going to check our prescription drugs. We're going to check any changes to our health history, and we'll think about our community or our customer service experience. And we're going to go talk to a SHIP counselor.
Yes,
most important, we're going to talk to a SHIP counselor.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kimmy, and thank you for staying tuned to Aging Horizons. I hope you learned as much about Medicare as I did.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.